Every year, a major financial firm releases a survey claiming Americans believe they need $1.5 million to retire comfortably. Sometime soon, that headline will inevitably bump up to $2 million. When you read that number over your morning coffee, it is designed to make your stomach drop. But before that panic sets in, I want you to picture something much smaller. Picture a small stack of bills sitting on your kitchen table, tucked securely under a heavy ceramic diner mug. 4 crisp $20 bills and a 5. $85 in cash. We are going to come back to that money later because knowing exactly what those bills represent is the difference between constant anxiety and total peace of mind. If you have spent decades working and managed to accumulate $500,000 for your retirement, the financial media often treats you like a cautionary tale. The articles imply that you are one flat tire away from ruin, or that you will have to spend your golden years rationing the air conditioning and eating canned soup. You absorb this anxiety. You start to look at your account balances and believe that $500,000 is somehow a failure, a sign that you started too late or didn't hustle hard enough. But today, we are going to strip away the panic and do the actual math. We will look exactly at what $500,000 generates in a real, ordinary month. We will find out where the pressure points are, and we will see exactly who this number actually works for. I'm Helen, and we are going to walk through the quiet reality of the $500,000 portfolio. To see how this works, let's set up a realistic household. Meet Marcus and Elaine. Marcus is 67, and Elaine is 66. They live in a mid-sized American city, maybe Winston-Salem, North Carolina, or Columbus, Ohio. They aren't living on caviar, but they aren't struggling either. Over their working lives, they have managed to save $500,000, held mostly in traditional IRAs and a 401k, alongside a modest emergency fund at their local bank. If they followed the standard 4% withdrawal rule, their $500,000 portfolio generates $20,000 a year. Let's call that $1,666 a month. By itself, that barely covers rent in most American cities. But the myth that scares people is the assumption that your portfolio has to fund your entire life. Nobody retires on just their portfolio. Marcus and Elaine both worked standard middle-class careers. Together, their combined Social Security benefit is $3,800 a month. When you add that to their portfolio withdrawals, their gross monthly income is $5,466. Of course, we have to pay the IRS because part of that IRA withdrawal and a portion of their Social Security will be taxable. They will owe a little bit to the government. After taxes, they clear right around $4,900 a month in spendable, liquid cash. Without looking at your own budget, do you know exactly what it costs just to wake up in your house and turn the lights on? We need to look at what I call the unforgiving baseline. The common assumption is that retirement makes your bills shrink automatically. The reality is that the baseline remains stubborn. For Marcus and Elaine, their mortgage is paid off. But on the 12th of every month, they still have to pay property taxes, homeowners insurance, and utilities. That costs them about $800 a month. Then comes the true heavy weight of retirement expenses, which is healthcare. They are paying 2 Medicare Part B premiums, 2 Medigap supplement policies, and 2 Part D prescription drug plans. Together, that eats up nearly $900 a month before they have bought a single bag of groceries, put gas in the car, or done anything remotely fun. $1,700 is gone. This is where the math gets ruthless and where we see who this portfolio actually works for. For Marcus and Elaine, after their baseline is paid, they still have $3,200 left for the rest of their month. They are breathing perfectly fine. But picture their neighbor, David. David has the exact same $500,000 portfolio, and the exact same Social Security income. But David still owes $2,000 a month on a mortgage for a house that is simply too big for him. After David pays his housing and his health care, he has just $1,200 left for the entire month to buy food, gas, and everything else. David is suffocating. David is the person the financial magazines are trying to scare. Your portfolio balance only matters after your fixed costs are fed. Let's look at the lifestyle engine for Marcus and Elaine. How does a regular week actually feel with their remaining $3,200? They spend about $800 on groceries and household supplies. They spend another $300 on gas, auto insurance, and keeping their perfectly reliable 8-year-old Honda Civic running. That leaves them roughly $2,100 of pure, unallocated margin every single month. With $2,000 of margin, you have choices. They aren't flying first class to Rome, and they aren't buying a luxury boat. But they can easily afford to take the grandkids out for a nice lunch. They can buy the good coffee beans at the grocery store. They can afford to fix the washing machine when it makes that terrible grinding noise. And they can take a 2-week road trip to a national park every fall. They have enough to be comfortable, and they have enough to be generous in small, quiet ways. But here is the catch. We have to look at the friction point of a $500,000 portfolio. Let's return to your kitchen table. Let's look at that heavy ceramic diner mug and the stack of bills underneath it. The 420s and the 5. $85. If you divide Marcus and Elaine's portfolio income, that $1,666 a month, by 30 days, you get roughly $55. Add a little extra for wiggle room, and you have that stack of bills. That $85 is the daily allowance their life savings actually provides. The rest of their lifestyle is being funded by Social Security. And while $85 a day covers a lot of ordinary Tuesdays, it does not cover replacing a roof. It does not cover an unexpected $12,000 dental implant. The emotional trade-off of this portfolio size is that you cannot solve massive financial shocks purely with your monthly cash flow. When Marcus needs to replace the HVAC system, he has to dip into the principal. He might have to pull $10,000 out of the IRA all at once. If the stock market happens to be down that year, that withdrawal stings. The portfolio shrinks. The margin gets a little thinner. The reality of $500,000 is that everyday life is incredibly comfortable, but large capital expenses require careful, deliberate planning. Which brings us to the ultimate freedom multiplier. If your income stopped tomorrow, what is the one bill that would terrify you the most? The great American myth is that a massive, multi-million-dollar portfolio is the only way to achieve financial peace. The truth is, the absence of debt buys the exact same peace for a fraction of the price. Let's look at David again. Remember David, sweating over his $2,000 mortgage payment while trying to live on the exact same income as Marcus? If David wanted to generate $2,000 a month purely from a stock portfolio, using that standard 4% rule, he would need an additional $600,000 in savings just to pay the bank. By paying off his mortgage before he retired, Marcus essentially gave himself the equivalent of a $600,000 portfolio boost. David is constantly checking the stock market, chasing higher yields, and stressing over interest rates just to keep his head above water. Marcus doesn't care what the market did today because Marcus is out in the backyard watering his tomatoes. You can either spend 20 years trying to save another $500,000, or you can kill the debt. As you settle into this chapter of life, you will find that the hardest part isn't the math. It is the psychology of watching other people. You will have friends or former colleagues who retire with $2 or $3 million. They will buy the brand new luxury SUV. They will join the expensive country club. The American economy is practically built on making you feel inadequate for driving an older Honda and vacationing at a state park instead of a resort in Tuscany. If you tie your dignity to matching their visible spending, your $500,000 will vanish in a matter of years, and it will take your peace of mind straight out the door with it. Quiet wealth means looking at your life and realizing you don't actually want their stress, their maintenance costs, or their lingering insecurities. You just want your time. Which brings us back to the kitchen table and that ceramic diner mug, that stack of bills. That is what $500,000 actually buys you on a quiet Tuesday morning. It does not buy you a private jet, and it does not buy you total immunity from all financial stress. What it buys you is a buffer between you and the harshness of the world. It buys you the ability to wake up, pour your coffee, and decide for yourself what to do with your own morning. It buys you independence. If your house is paid off, if your expectations are grounded, and you have $500,000 saved alongside your Social Security, you have crossed the finish line. You just have to realize you won the race. This week, I want you to do one very small calculation. Write down your absolute baseline fixed costs, just housing, healthcare, and utilities. Do not include groceries. Do not include travel. Just the bare bones baseline to exist. Then, look at what your guaranteed income from Social Security or a pension will be. See how close those two numbers are. The smaller the gap between your guaranteed income and your fixed costs, the more powerful your savings will be, no matter what your portfolio size is. I am curious, what is one everyday expense you absolutely refuse to give up in retirement, no matter what the budget says? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, consider subscribing to the channel. We are building a community here focused on clarity, independence, and keeping your money where it belongs, which is working for your actual life. I will see you in the next one.